Hey folks, this is part 2 of your week 2 video series for language arts. Make sure you've finished part 1 and done the activities that needed to be done after part 1 before you watch this video part 2. Ideally, you're watching this video on Wednesday the 11th. So let's get into it. This week, on Monday, you should have reviewed your notebook. Tuesday, you should have watched part 1, completed your discussion questions, and started your summary notes for Death by Dirt. Today, Wednesday, watch video part 2. Finish your summary if you didn't finish that yesterday for Death by Dirt. And then you're going to read an article called The Deception of Columbus and answer the questions on that. And then Thursday you will complete the pre-assessment paragraph, and Friday you should submit your notebook. You can submit it on Thursday if you're done, obviously, but it must be submitted by Friday, and then do 30 minutes of iReady. On Thursday and Friday we will also be starting our one-on-one meetings for those of you who are scheduled for Thursday and Friday. Next week I will be gone Thursday and Friday, so I will meet with people on Tuesday and Wednesday for their one-on-one meetings, which means that over the next 2 weeks I will meet with everybody one time, and then the following week I will meet with everybody during the week. All right, so let's get into it. If you have not already, please open your week 2 notebook. Pause now this video to get your notebook open. Okay, you should have your week 2 discussion questions done and summary notes done. And we should be looking at this. The article, The Deception of Christopher Columbus, and there's an audio version of it as well. And then there's some questions here. Okay, now that you have your notebook open, let's look at The Deception of Columbus. I'm not going to read the entire article for you. You can listen to that on your own time. But I did want to talk to you about the questions that I asked and sort of why I asked those questions. So one of our big ideas, big essential questions this quarter is how do words affect us, right? So I've hopefully started to realize by now that the words that are used, like in Georgia Bragg's How They Croaked, they're kind of funny and they make us feel a little bit more humorous or light about the content. So we aren't taking these deaths as seriously or maybe as grossed out by them because she's a little bit humorous in her tone, right? Well, this article presents a point of view of Columbus in a way that is not traditionally seen. And so going into reading this article, I want you to understand that we are looking at the idea of how words affect us, but also how different points of view understand events in history differently, and who is telling a story is important. So those are 3 essential questions for the quarter. Who's telling the story, their point of view in telling it, and the words that they use and how those words affect us, okay? So as you read this article, keep in mind that I'm not presenting this as absolute factual. This is a perspective on history. Even the title, Deception of Columbus, that should be your first clue for one of your questions where it says what emotionally charged words are present. That is an emotional charged word in the title of the article, the word deception, okay? So what is the author's purpose in this article? Is it just to give us information about Columbus, or is there something that the person who's writing from, their perspective, they have some ulterior motive? In this article, does Columbus seem like a hero or a villain? And what techniques does the author use to accomplish their purpose and to get you to feel about it? And then finally, how do you personally feel about the article? Because you might not agree with it, you might agree with it, you might disagree with it, it might have made you mad, etc. Okay? So this is a great article to get you to understand that just because something is an article does not mean it is just factual, and articles, even if they are supposed to be just a factual news article, they still have bias. Bias is the author's opinion sort of coming through and oftentimes that comes through with the words that they choose and they use. This week we're just reading this one article, but in the weeks to come we'll read actually 2 articles that present information, the same information, but have very different perspectives, and kind of compare those, okay? All right, so I want you to pause this video. This is going to take you a little bit of time to do so, but that's okay. Pause the video, read The Deception of Columbus, and answer those questions in your notebook. All right, now that you are finished reading it and answering the questions, a couple last thoughts. If you didn't get any ideas or you're not really sure, the author's purpose is not just to give us information about Columbus, right? It is to make us feel like Columbus was a villain, or he was maybe not the brightest. Maybe he was even an idiot, is kind of the author's purpose there, right? So they definitely portray him to be more of a villain. And they do so with those words that they use. I mean, the word deception is one emotionally charged word, but there are more in there as well. And how you feel about the article, that's up to you, okay? That is definitely up to you. All right, moving on in your notebook to the next page, which is the pre-assessment paragraph, which you will actually work on tomorrow. But I want to give you some overview of it first, okay? So I have noticed that sometimes, especially in persuasive writing, students will see a topic, an idea, and get mad about something related to it, and then do what we call is rant writing, where they don't necessarily write about the topic, but they just write a sort of around it or about something that they think about or that their opinion is, and then just kind of rant or just write whatever they're thinking out, and not really stick with the topic, okay? So this quarter you're going to learn about how to write persuasive paragraphs, and that means how to convince people to change their opinion or to change what they're choosing to do, to have them act in a certain way. Or sometimes it's called argumentative or persuasion. Either way, it's the purpose of trying to convince someone to do something or change their mind, okay? So the pre-assessment paragraph this week is write an argumentative paragraph convincing classmates if history textbooks should be treated as absolute fact or not. Now, I'm not going to give you too much about how to write a persuasive paragraph right now because I want to sort of see your beginning idea of that. But I need you to not rant in this paragraph so that I can actually see what you think a persuasive paragraph is. So you should specifically be talking about if history textbooks should be treated as absolute fact or not. You should not be talking about anything else, okay? I know we just read, literally right before this, you read about this strong argument about Columbus maybe being a villain, not a hero. Okay, that is not related to this specific information. You might use that as evidence in it if you want to or not, but this question is a standalone idea, write a paragraph if history textbooks should be treated as absolute fact or not. Keep in mind some of the things you've learned about paragraphs in the past, like we have a topic sentence that should repeat the prompt, and then write what you think would fit into a paragraph. So some things we've learned in the past: have a topic sentence, try to provide evidence, write with good sentence structures, okay? So try to do your best, and starting next week, I'll give you some specific skills for how to write argumentative paragraphs. But I need you to make sure that you respond to that specific topic and not go off on a tangent or a rant about things that your opinion, okay? And it's really hard in argumentative writing because we tend to be passionate about it. We want to convince people, but we need to do so in a structured way instead of just going off on a tangent. All right. So, some reminders. You need to finish your notebook and submit it by 3 on Friday. If you have any questions At any time, Google Chat is the fastest way to get a hold of me. On Friday, you also need to do 30 minutes of iReady. So hopefully you can finish. Today, you've been able to finish the Deception of Columbus and the questions, which would be this page of your notebook. And then tomorrow, I want you to work on this pre-assessment paragraph, and then you should be beginning your iReady. You can submit your notebook at any point that you're finished with it. So this should have been Tuesday, and we started this on Tuesday. You might finish it today. Did this today on Wednesday, and pre-assessment paragraph is going to be Thursday. Submit it as soon as you're ready to, and then Friday is iReady. Well, that is all for this week. If you have any questions, please message me, and I will see you in one-on-one meetings.